Inhale. Exhale, press your ankles up. On exhale. Good. All right, lift your head up. Inhale. Exhale, press up. Like that. So when her neck is involved, her abs are not strong, which means she has been doing abs correctly. Darren. Get off of her. Get off. Right. Inhale. Exhale, press your ankles up. Head up. Inhale. Exhale, press up. Which means Darren hasn't been doing anything. Lay back. But there was a couple of hints because Cindy said that she was experiencing the same thing, and so I just asked them both, have you guys been eating wheat? Because there was a study by Charles Poliquin, who's this Canadian fitness trainer who is a genius, in case he's watching. And his study showed that people with a wheat diet had less of a neurological established connection with rectus abdominis. Yeah. Charles Poliquin. P-O-L-O-Q-U-I-N.
So would you say, Joe, that asking Darren if he's eating meat?
Wheat. Yeah. Yeah, no, we're all good for meat.
I'm sending it to Anna.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you guys got that, right? You guys see the pattern. This is interesting to see that stuff. Okay. Move out of the way.
Can you say anything about pregnancy and what you should expect after delivering?
Shitty abs.
I mean, with the rectus abdominis, because it's been stretched a lot, and you can get diastasis recti, so separation of the abdominal wall. And so I'm just wondering, what should you expect as far as your strength and lifting?
Well, how are you in the test?
I failed. I failed on both, and I'm not surprised because I have been just doing my abs with my head on the ground.
Right. I think it's really hard to say because we could check your internal obliques, external obliques, transverse abdominis, QLs, and because they're all, to me, core muscles, and you'd be different.
Are we going to go through all of those during this training?
We're going to go through at least 80% of the ones I just said, yes. Okay, so, Elizabeth. Well, no, stand up a second, because Brian spotted some of your patterning, so just stand facing that way so Brian can tell everyone what he's looking out for.
I noticed just a kyphotic curve in the spine. It's a tendency for the shoulders to go rounded, and also then the front of the sternum, where it needs the abdomen to kind of collapse down. So to me, she's a primary candidate for working on lifting the rectus and the sternal sheath that overlays the fascia that overlays the sternum.
Lay back. Pick your feet up. Notice I always tell them to do that because they're then using their abs to do that. Inhale. Exhale, press your ankles up. Okay, lay back. Well, yours, Brian? So, getting into the abdominals. Generally, with the abdominals in the front of the body, we want to lift the tissues up, right? Meaning, over the course of our day and the course of our year and the course of our lives, the front of our body starts to pull down, right? The hip flexors pull us forward this way, this comes forward this way. And as the tissues go down, well, the tissues on the back climb up. Like they're climbing up the back while the tissues on the front are pulling down. So the basic rule of thumb for most people is to lift the tissues on the front up, and then to take the tissues on the back down. So my goal here is to work on lifting the rectus abdominis basically off of the other layers of the abdominal muscles and to take things superiorly. Is it okay if I get onto your actual belly, onto the skin?
Yeah.
And let's bring your shirt up a bit. Cool tattoo. So, with rectus abdominis, I'm going to get my hands basically right onto either side of the linea album. Now, when I go into the tissue, if I push in too deep, I'm already into the organ territory. I don't want to be there. I want to be much lighter on the actual abdominals. Now, the movement is go in, just a little bit, and then to pull up. Now, at this point, I can't pull anymore because I've brought the tissues into tension. Now, take a long breath up into my fingertips. And as she's exhaling, I'm dragging the tissues superior. And another deep breath here. And I'm lifting the rectus. I can feel a pull all the way down to our pubic bone through the fascia. Like I feel like I'm pulling a tight bed sheet. You know, if you pull a bed sheet that's tucked in on the bottom, and you pull, you can feel where it's tucked in on the bottom. I feel like I'm pulling the fascial bed sheet of her belly, and it's tucked into her pubic bone. And so by pulling upwards, we're starting to stretch it out. Now, after going up for a while, I feel like I need to get a new purchase of flesh underneath my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is, after this next breath, I'm going to reset my hands. So I'm going to let that flesh subside, come back down, go in just a little bit, and then pull up. So I'm lifting the tissues superiorly rather than dragging, digging into her belly. And again, I feel a pull all the way down to her pubic bone.
And you're doing that lift when she exhales.
I'm good doing it continuously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does she feel the pull all the way down to her pubic bone?
Ah.
Almost, but not entirely. Like, you know, I can, but not crazy as things, you know?
Would you press a little larger or harder if somebody has a large belly? Like to get
Not
the
really.
layers of fat?
No.
Would you go further in before you, like, you wouldn't go further in for her because of the organs right there, but would you go deeper first before you start pulling up for somebody with thicker flesh?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need to get a purchase of flesh underneath the fingers.
That flesh will pull the fascia underneath.
You got
Everything
it. It don't matter. It don't matter the thickness of the tissue. You just get a bite on the flesh and then pull that flesh. All right. And I can use my hands, my fingertips like this. I could also use the whole webbing of my hand.
That feels more stronger.
You want to take a deep breath here? And if I wanted to, I can drag the whole tissues upwards with my hand. So now I've got from here across from here a fascial connection. I've got the whole fascial plane gripped underneath my fingers and I'm pulling up. Now if I even wanted to, I could enjoy working with what's called pinning and stretching. So I would employ an opposite movement with my other hand. In which case I could take this hand and pull the tissues down. Yeah. That's what we do.
Early.
And then I might grab a little bit higher, pull it down, and then lift the other hand up.
Yeah, we were doing that.
Continuing to stretch tissue superiorly. I'm not pushing into her, I'm trying to drag the tissues up.
So are you pulling it all, or are you just kind of holding in place and then using it as a resistance?
Dragging
You are dragging,
down,
yeah.
and I'm dragging up.
This is really light touch.
I can do it a lot more now than
I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty strong. I mean, but I'm not pushing down. I'm pulling things apart. I'm literally trying to spread open this whole entire area. Now, I want to go back in and use my fingers again, especially as we're getting up in here. And you see when she's exhaling, I let my hands go with that. And then when she's inhale, I start to lift tissues back up. And now I'm getting into that place where I feel her ribs wanting to expand, but a fascial kind of tension keeping it a little bit restricted.